So I just got banned from Facebook for another 3 days, and it was over a over a hate post, the hate speech, and it was one of my more extreme um, posts with racism and sexism in there. So I guess a computer must have flagged it or something. So that was interesting. Um, But I was just thinking about the history of the United States and how in the past America was divided by city or by region into different areas, you know? And the different areas were initially racially based because it was groups of immigrants who would basically come to one city or one region and settle there, and they would maintain their culture and their customs and so forth. And from hearing John Taylor Gatto, I heard that that's a psychologically healthy practice because when you have your parents around you, your uncles and aunts, and people of your culture and custom around you growing up, which is something I didn't have, then you basically get, basically they cater to your genetic predisposition. That's what John Taylor Gatto said because they basically know the weaknesses of your group and based on your racial memories and so forth. People tend to be similar, even though this is very non-PC idea, but it's true because there's evidence based on the history of the United States, as stated by John Taylor Gatto, that a lot of crime was caused by these waves of basically kids of these immigrant families who were basically moving westward in that whole westward drive. But they were basically forced to do that, I think, because of the law or something. So basically there were a whole bunch of psychologically hampered individuals. And this is not racial, it's just the fact that they didn't have their community around them growing up. They didn't have that village that it takes to raise a child, and not just any village, but the village that's suited to your, you know, your history and your ancestors and your physiology and so forth, and your emotional memories and so forth, your past, because every culture has different customs and ways of behaving and different trials and tribulations they've gone through. So that's what I mean by the racial memory. So yeah, I mean, we should make each other aware of our differences, even if it's done in a negative way. It's, I mean, I was trying to be funny in a very dark kind of way, which is what I usually do. Very few people understand it, but even if it makes you offended, that should, at least in conscious and people who care about knowing, it should make them want to know why they don't get it or why they're offended and other people like it, you know? So in that sense, it's very dangerous kind of humor that I'm doing because it's against the whole shitstorm, like this, like the Rastas say. Um, the problems of the world are based on the shitstorm. And currently, what shitstorm are we living in? I've been reading Atali's book, and it's a very good philosophical book too, because it talks about how the progression of the civilization happens. It starts with the order of the sacred, which is the order of the, you know, the holy books and so forth. And that's how Christianity, which was different from the message of the actual Christ, grew into that big force. It was the order of the sacred. And then it changed into the order of the force as civilization progressed. The old system fell, and it regenerated as the order of the force, and that was Rome and so forth, I believe. And that's the more of using laws and so forth and treating the people like cattle, just like Christianity did with mind control, but now it was like a physical lockdown, the feudalism system, shitstem, which we are now re-entering, I believe. That's the order of the force. That lasted until the new industrial revolution, when governments became the fashion. And that was the order of the money now, the third wave. And not just the third wave, but the third order. And so the first was the male, and then the second was the male, a certain type of male, the blue-blooded male, a psychopath, and their cunning intellectual shitstem. So that's the order of the sacred, because the previous one was a matriarchal and patriarchal, which is the tribal civilizations of the hunter, of the gatherer, the nomadic gatherer, which is a matriarchal, and then the hunter-gatherer, which is more of a fighting kind of masculine tribal society, usually when there's a lot of threats around. So, but then there's a negative version of that, which is the priesthood, the order of the sacred, the church and so forth, and then the order of the force, which is the kings and the royalty and the aristocracy and the feudal overlords and the knights and so forth. And then the third wave is the order of the money, which is not the feminine now, because order of the force is based on group mind, so it's a feminine thing. Then it's the order of the money, which is a bastard sun, a Saturnian, a star, a dark star system, which is doomed to implode or explode and destroy everything with it. But I believe in God, and many people do. So hopefully there's some hope, and we're all waiting for the miracle. So I just want to remind everybody that race is good to know about, and differences in race are real, and we should definitely not be shy and hypersensitive, even though we've been programmed to be that way all our life and based on our challenges and so forth. But I feel we should overcome that in order, if we want peace, and not end up like how the Middle East is right now and how it's been over the last 20 years, because that's where we're going to be. That's what Apple Gabriel of Israel Vibration said, and I'm seeing it happen. The women are dressing like Saudi Arabians more and more. So if we don't want to end up like that, we got to stop this nonsense and this emotionalism and think rationally and pragmatically and with the future in mind. And abortion kills. Stop killing our future. Later.